bishops.
All you need now is a crown.
Yeah, right.
Testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, everybody? Thank you for keeping me dressed and like in one piece. I need a whole village. I do. Thank you, Ken.
The first one.
Where did I put? Ah. I have a box of goodies, but it's in the back. We're going to get started in like 2 minutes. I'm going to make sure like we corral. Can I ask you a favor for somebody? Do you mind corral? Say, get over here if you're coming. I see Joe. I see Scott. There's Scott. Chris. So, Chris, are you ready to take us some ferocious notes? Yeah, if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay, I think we're going to begin. It is time. So we have 2 hot seats here. Dick and I will come up in different parts during the agenda. So if you'll turn to page 4 of your packet. And wherever you'd like. We're going to pray. So let's pray. God, for the opportunity to serve you and your people in this place, we give you thanks. For the opportunity to dream about the road ahead and the year of opportunity before us, we give you thanks. For all of our weaknesses and our fears, we ask for your grace. And may everything that we do, everything that we say, bring glory to you, both in this place, in our lives, and in our community. Amen. So I'm going to remind you of a little bit of like Robert's Rules of Order. So you are the convened body. This meeting is now called to order. If you are a member of St. Timothy's, you are a voting member of this community. So what I'm going to ask for is basically a consent agenda item. On your packet, you have minutes number 5, 6, 7, and 8. What I'm asking for is to approve those minutes unless there are additions, corrections, deletions. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions to the presented annual meeting minutes from 2024, pages 5 through 8? See? It was 2024 in February last year. It's now 2025 this year, I think. So I have a motion. Patty Alexander, Ferris. I don't know why I said Alexander. Patty Ferris has made a motion. Helen Coleman has made a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. The minutes are now entered into the record. We now move quickly to the vestry election. So in your packet, you will see page 11. I am delighted to present this slate to you. Joe Grant, Scott McDougall, and Kathleen Herzog Murphy, they bring a wealth of gifts and different emphases to your vestry leadership. We haven't all parsed up our roles yet, but I got something in mind for each of them. And I've talked to you all, so this shouldn't be a surprise. So the way I believe this works, and if there's a parliamentarian like Sally in here to tell us, Sally Jess to tell us we're doing it incorrectly, we have to ask for other nominations from the floor. What we are presenting to you is an affirmation slate, and what that means is there are 3 slots and 3 candidates. So if you make a motion from the floor, we will have an election. If you don't make a motion from the floor, we'll have an affirmation. Does that make sense to everybody? So is there any motions from the floor to have other vestry members be on the slate? Going once, going twice, 3 Thank you. Patty will make a motion to accept as written and presented, and Margaret seconds it. So is there any further objections? Any objections? Not further. And then let's just make an affirmation. Yay! Wonderful. So it's been a long day. The vestry retreat will be next week, and we will get into a lot of the nuts and bolts of how to do things and what we do and the roles that we will execute. So now let me go back to our, next is deanery delegates. So the same process is we have a slate before you from page 12. And I have talked to each of these, so this shouldn't be a surprise to any of them. If it's a surprise, I'm surprised. Are there any, this is the presented slate, is there anybody that would like to nominate another delegate from the floor? Seeing none, can I have a motion to accept the slate? I think it goes down this year, but I think it's still 6. It may be 5 next year, but once that official thing comes out, if for some reason, to answer your question, Sally, if for some reason I am incorrect, and let's say our slate is 5, we will make one of them an alternate. But I'm pretty sure that we have the opportunity for 6 delegates in 2025, and that may change in 2026. Did I have a motion for the slate? Thank you, Kathy Hager. Patty is just rocking the seconds and firsts, and let's have Gina get in a little bit of action. So Gina, yes, do you have a question? No. So Gina's making the second. So I'm going to take that from you, Patty. She gets it. All right. Seeing no other additions, I have an affirmation of the slate. Thank you very much. Now for the good stuff.
This is on. I'm back here to protect myself. So. I'm going to make a very brief summary statement of where we are. And if you've read the stuff, you know where we are. In 24, we did better than planned, but plan was a big loss. So we did better than that. We lost 92,000 instead of 129,000. But on top of 2023's loss of 78,000 and our forecasted loss for 2025 of 82,000, that's going to be a 3-year combined loss of over $250,000. And we can't keep going like this. We have some savings, but what we're doing when we spend $250,000 over 3 years in the negative is we're really eating into the savings. And it's dangerous not to have savings around for a campus like this. So our income forecasted for 2025, what we need is $873,000. But that's not what we've got. We need 10% more than what we've got. So my pitch to you is look in your heart and in your wallet and try to increase your pledge. Leslie and I are going to increase it by 10%. We're able to. I know not everybody can, but we need to chip away at this as best we can, or we'll be facing major cost cuts next year, 2026. That's my summary. I'll stand here and take your comments and questions.
I'm going to be the person that moves the microphone around. Just give me 1 second.
I know there are shills in the audience. Come on, you guys.
And just for the live streamers, do you mind just saying who you are?
Hi, I'm Carlene Carnes. I'm your pledge secretary. In order to increase your pledge, just send me an email. That's all the audit trail I need. But I will promptly update your pledge for you. And on a side note, if anyone has not found their giving statement for 2024, they were emailed and or snail mailed, depending on your preference. If you didn't get it, let me know. I'll do that again. And one more reminder, your FOTH does not show up on your giving statement. It's on your FOTH receipt. And if you've lost that, we will give you another one. Just let us know.
Thank you, Carly. Remember, tell us your name, and even though we know your name.
Dick, what's the offset credit under personnel expenses?
Over the last few years,
Talk to the mic, please.
thank you. Over the last few years, some people have given us money to use towards salaries, and we've decided for 2025 we're going to use that, and that's the offset.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll have time for open questions too, so you don't have to, you can ask now and you can ask later, so we promise there'll be plenty of opportunity. And tell us your name and your question. Good morning. Hold on. Oh, there we go.
Good morning, I'm Judy Kearns. I just have a question. I noticed that there is a possible new preschool group coming in. Have you calculated what that might help with the deficit?
Yes, I'm going to grab some batteries just in case those batteries are dying. And that is correct. There is opportunity, but there is not certainty in that opportunity. Dick, do you want me to say why don't you say the number if you think that's appropriate?
Yeah, we have a preschool. It's not common knowledge. It's an organization called Building Kids, KIDZ. Excuse me. They have 50 schools around the country. They're daycare plus preschool, and they're interested in our building. They are a franchisor, and they have been working with us for 7 months with a franchisee who has a big school in San Ramon. Last Friday, after we printed the bulletin, they backed out. That franchise backed out. So they have another franchisee who's very interested. We're meeting with them next Wednesday here at the preschool. So we'll see what happens. There's a new franchisee, so I don't know what the deal will be. But the old deal, which we had all but completed our negotiations, calls for them paying us $9,000 a month, 12 months a year, for $108,000 a year. 5-year lease, 2 5-year options. That's basically it. I would expect we'd be looking at something like the same thing with this new potential.
And I would add to what Dick said, and this is coming from John Yao, and I think he's absolutely right. If the deal goes as expected, we're not out of the woods. We still need your stewardship, we still need your pledges, we still need your increases, because this will give us a buffer. This will not be sort of a constantly eating into our nest egg, but it also doesn't really get us all the way there. It gets us further, but not all the way there. So don't go, woohoo, we're done, please.
Well, one other thing to know, the past deal, which they walked away from, I'm assuming will have some similarities to the future deal if we get it. And that these deals mean that it's going to take 3 to 6 months for them to get permits for construction, 3 months for construction, and then another 3 months before they start having an income stream. So the day we sign a deal is probably 9 to 12 months before we'll see any income.
And you may be thinking that, just before I want to add to that too, you may think that's a long time. Our facility is wildly out of date. I mean, wildly out of date. So there is just to get up to a place where we could have anybody come in, it's going to take a lot of money. And that's also money and time. Okay, well, let's see here. I'm going to work my way backward from Meg and up to Tony and then up to Ed. So we'll start with Meg.
This is Meg Lindley. The $9,000, I would think a good portion of that would go into like facilities, because wouldn't that not towards like income and covering other things? That would be, we would need to have that put aside to maintain the preschool, right? So,
Microphone. Microphone.
We try to put aside as much of it as we can,
Microphone.
maintenance reserves for the whole campus. Thank you. You sound like my wife. We anticipate, subject to vestry approval, that the income from this school, should it happen, we would put into reserves, because we need to replenish our reserves for campus maintenance and things we already know that we have to deal with, including the preschool building. And one other thing, we're going to help air condition the preschool building, and we have about $50,000 set aside somewhere else, not in any of these numbers, from the preschool to help air condition the space. So the new tenant won't have to do that. But the new tenant will have to install fire sprinklers, and it's a very expensive proposition. In order to get a new license, they're going to have to get fire department approval, and that's going to require sprinkling that building. That's very expensive.
so Dick, essentially the money coming in does not cover the deficit. It doesn't go against the deficit because this is going to reserves.
Correct. We're going to
That's
try
our
and
best
put
plan.
it aside.
I will add, I want to just give a shout out to Joe and Neil, who worked, when I first got here, we did a reserve study. And that reserve study, I'm going to make it really shorthanded for you. We are going to spend $100,000 a year forever on facilities. Something is going to break. We don't know if it's an air conditioner or tree roots messing with the foundation. We're on the hook for $100,000 forever. And a huge part of that money would go to that $100,000 forever issue. Let's see, Tony, I think, was next. Let's see here. Just remember, tell us your name, even though I know your name.
Tony Geisler. I just have two quick questions. What's finance? And then the other thing is even though attendance has, been flat or something like that, the diocesan is up by a little, close to 10%, a little more.
Yep.
Is that just is that just inflation or what?
Well, your first question you asked was, what is finance?
Finance, yes.
Finance covers things like insurance for the campus, things like that. That's the biggest ticket item. The way the diocesan assessment works is the diocese looks at your income from 2 years ago. Your spending from 2 years ago. And that's how they calculate what your new assessment will be according to the formula. And that's what happened to us, is our income had gone up a bit. And so that's how the calculation works. Yeah.
Ed?
Ed Liggins. So, Dick, you've talked about the income necessary to get back to where we actually need to be. Could you, or have we, thought about what the other part of that is, which is if we don't get the income, the cuts? where they might hit us? A lot of people might want to know about that.
Well, they'd probably hit us everywhere. I'll defer to you.
Yeah, I think what I am asking, what the vestry is asking, I think what the finance team would be asking you all to do is, let's see how this year goes. We are comfortable moving forward with a deficit. We are wildly uncomfortable moving forward in the same way in 2026. So that could include a staff correction. That could include cutting costs. Like Kimberly's been working on trying to print less bulletins. We're trying to both do big stuff and nickel and dime our way out of this hole. We're trying to get the trash can to be smaller. Like all these little things, including big things, is where we need to be to proceed. So 2025, we're hoping to be a little bit like, let's wait and see. And 2026 is, okay, the Reaper is coming. Let's do some hard stuff. And because we can't, to Dick's earliest point, we can't proceed in this trajectory. We cannot, we won't. We won't proceed in this trajectory. Does that answer your question, at least in
It does.
content and vibe?
And one
It
reason.
does. It tells us what we all need to do if we want this church to
If you want it the
thrive.
way it is configured now, you absolutely.
And so the data we get from you guys and others about how you give and what you give is going to provide a lot of feedback to us as we plan for 2026. So this year is a big deal. They're always big deals, but this is the bigger one.
Sally Potts, what was the status of maintenance reserves at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, approximately?
The maintenance reserves stand at around $89,000 or $90,000. I can't remember the beginning of the year. It was probably a little more. But 2 years ago, we spent $180,000 in major maintenance around this campus. And two of those things were totally unexpected. The flooding of the basement and the sewer line out in the back parking lot. The only one that was expected was re-roofing the parish hall. So that's what scares me about maintaining this campus is we might have a $30,000 maintenance year this year, who knows? But bang, you can get a $200,000 maintenance year, just like that. So I don't remember, but it used to be a lot bigger.
Let's see here.
There's somebody in the back.
Who's in the back? Who raised your hand in the back? Thank you, Rob. Remember, I know you don't want to tell us your name, but tell us your name and then ask your question.
Rob Kateski, just a comment. We all know what staffing cuts mean, right? I mean, Ed asked the question so that we all know what the consequences are. So I just want to make sure, in aviation, we make sure that the message has gotten across. I just want to make sure that we ponder on that, and as we discern what we can give. That's the human face of what might happen, and I think we'll see what we can do to give some more, but we all need to think about that, and I hope people online are listening to that too.
Thank you. I'm going to go to you, Kathleen, next, unless I see another hand back here somewhere. Any hands, any hands, any hands, any hands? All right, Kathleen.
Kathleen Murphy. So because we're a nonprofit, we should be applying for various grants in the state of California and all the way down to the county level. In addition, anytime we do upgrades of energy efficient, AC heaters, we're moving over to solar instead of electrical. We should be applying to all of these grants and such. Are we doing so?
Thank you, we will when I get educated.
So, like I said, we can come back to questions later too. We're not cutting anybody off. I'm wondering if we're ready to move to kind of a little bit of my stuff. And let's go ahead. Dave.
I have one last thing. I am not shy. You should not be shy when you want to talk to me. Call me on the phone, text me, and I'll be glad to talk with you and answer all the questions you're too afraid to ask today.
Yeah, and I want to make a vibe request. Let your request be that we all love this place. We are all coming at this because we love, I have grown, even though I haven't been here as long as many of you, since 2017, I have grown to love and cherish this community. So I'm on the same page with you. Let's think about our vitality, who we are, and who we can be. So ask any hard question you want. Ask them as pointedly as you want. Know that we're on the same page. We're all in this together.
There's one more.
And Gina, who are you?
I'm Gina Hodgson. Insurance. On the buildings, who pays that?
We do. $37,000 a year right now. It covers everything except earthquakes. And we can't afford earthquake insurance. Almost no one can.
Yeah, no, nobody can.
Fire and burglary and theft, there are limits, but yes. Debbie?
Let's hope and pray this new battery holds out.
I'm Debbie Katetsky, and I'm just thinking about what Kathleen said with corporate matching. Can we add that to our list to research? I know Breeze is not a breeze, but if there's, because I know whenever I donate, I always get, does your corporation match? And I know when I worked at Del Monte, they did, so looking into that too.
Yeah.
We do get 1 or 2 matches from corporations. Someone's talked to me about the possibility of a third. It's not a lot, but every bit helps.
Yeah, and what I'm sensing a little bit in our conversations, especially from you, Kathleen, and you, Debbie, I don't want to ask the finance team to do this. I might invite you all to think about some strategic research team. Do the digging, find the grants, find the waivers, find the blah, blah, blahs, and the blah, blah, blahs, and the matchings, and all that stuff. So if that sounds like, ooh, I could help out in that regard, I'm suggesting we kind of create a committee that supports the finance committee, that allows us to bring really good advice, financial acumen, financial research, and some skills that we might not have thought about when we get in the trenches. So if that's something that sounds even compelling to you, talk to me or Dick. He didn't know I was going to say this. I didn't know I was going to say this either.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the research, but when you do it, you tell me the results.
That's what I'm saying. Let's
And we'll
have a
act
committee
on
that
it.
advises the finance team.
So I'm happy to commit because this is what my brother did on the former church I was at for the vestry because he was the finance guy. So, and he works for the government, or maybe he did, I don't know, with all the changes. Yeah, I will pick his brain. So even though he's not a member of our congregation, he's an
Wonderful.
Episcopalian, so he would definitely support us. And he's really good at the writing, yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For anyone who's not retired, most employers, or a lot of employers, will do matching grant, or not grants, but just match your offering. You don't get credit on your 1099 for the part for what they give us to match, but you get credit for the part you give. And some match dollar for dollar, some 50 cents to the dollar. Just call your HR department and ask if they do matching, because we do get money through the agencies that pass that money on through.
Wonderful. So I really like what's developing in our conversation to support the finance team's work and sort of advisory capacity.
Sure.
I'd like to move on. Again, we'll come back. If there's any questions that are just itching and burning on your tongue, let's come to that at the end. But I want to talk a little bit about my own report. I've got more good news. Dick gives you the hard news, and I'm going to give you the good news, or at least mostly good news. We've talked about preschool. I'm not really going to revisit that. You kind of have a sense of where we are. I want to just underscore something he said and add to what Dick said. You can have a seat if you'd like, or you can go sit over there. I don't care. Go sit with Kimberly. She needs company. We are exploring all of our options. We are not just limiting ourselves to building kids, that franchise or franchisee organization. We are exploring other opportunities. Some are really terrible. But I've learned one thing through this process. It's my mantra. Dick knows my mantra. We're going to say yes until we say no. We're going to say yes until we say no. And we might say no to some pretty early on, but we are really going to keep our eyes as open as possible, and it has to fit our mission and who we are. We are not going to do something that compromises our ethics. We are not going to do something just for money. We really do want to make a decision that supports our ministry, helps cushion our facility, and also aligns with who we are. So that's my commitment to you. Youth ministry is going pretty well. The collaborative deanery stuff has been a real bright spot. It continues to be a bright spot for me personally. I hope for the youth as well. We did our MLK March just recently. We're going to St. Anselm's Lafayette soon. So over the school year, deanery meets and we meet regularly for fellowship. I mean, we're building community across churches, and I can think of no better use of my time and our for the development of our youth. Let's see here. What's that? So it depends. So we have up to 2025. And that's not all 25 St. Timothy's, but I'm saying the collective can vary between 15 at low to about 25 at high. MLK was a little bit lower just because it's a little harder to get to San Francisco if you're in Contra Costa. I think we end up with like 10 primarily from two churches. Loved it. Even though it was only 10 only, it was really special. It was really good. It blessed me. Landon was a star, as he always is. So if you want to see him shining, you want to see our youth shining, please, please, please go to our socials. That's Instagram and Facebook. You can see a lot of what we do through that social stream. There's two other things I want to really touch on, and it's the missional challenge. You've heard I talk about Vital and Thriving, and then we forget about Vital and Thriving. And we do something and it seems like it goes dormant. It's not really gone dormant. It's gone a little slower than we'd like, but it still continues. I'm going to be working with one vestry person to really help spearhead the next phase of the Vital and Thriving process. It's called the MIT, because you have to have a little acronym for everything. It's the Missional Innovation Team. And this Missional Innovation Team is going to be exploring building community outside of our church walls. This probably will not put butts in our pews. It's really not even designed to do that. If it does, great. But its design is to, how do we build a community where we are more deeply connected to our community partners? So this is not outreach, and this is not increasing our average Sunday attendance. If it does both of those things, great. But the focus is to build community with our surrounding community. And I think we should always be doing that work, but the really intense phase for that will be in this coming year. You will see Susan with me until February 16th of this year, and then she goes on a well-earned sabbatical. Our associate is scheduled to get a 2-month sabbatical, and I couldn't think of a better time to celebrate her ministry and to give her a time of respite and release and renewal. She'll be back on Palm Sunday. So her last Sunday with us is February 16th, and then she'll be back with us on Palm Sunday. I should have known what date. I'm going to take a sabbatical as well, and I should have had that date written down on my calendar, but I don't. I do have it here, so if you mind me staring at my phone for 1 second, I can tell you exactly when I'm not going to be here. And it is my last Sunday with you all until through this chunk of the summer is May 18th. I'll be preaching on May 18th, and then Susan will take charge on May 25th. I think that's right. Is that right? Help me out. So that's all I have to share with you. Bob says check the chat. Let me check the chat. I forgot to do that. Does somebody else have your phone up? Liz, can you help me? Can you go to the website and then could you possibly be my check? You what? Oh, you. Hold on 1 second then. Bob, I hear you, and I'm looking right now, but it may take me a second. So Bob Carnes is one of our most faithful YouTubers. He's also the most opinionated, so he tells me exactly what he thinks every Sunday, and I really appreciate that. I never have to worry about if there's something that didn't work right, because Bob will tell me. Okay, so, oh, wonderful. So Jim Coleman from the chat says, I will match 1-for-1 pledge increases up to a total of $50,000 increased before February 28th, 2025. That's amazing. I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to take a screenshot too. We got it on proof, Jim. So Jim Coleman writes, I will match 1-for-1 pledge increases up to a total of $50,000 increased before February 28th, 2025. That's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you, Bob Carnes, for telling me to look at my phone during a church annual meeting. Okie dokie. Amazing. Thank you, Jim Coleman, and Helen Coleman as well. Jim, I knew you were in the room, but then I'm getting confused because I see you're like everywhere. Okay, let me go to Tanya and then to Tony.
You mentioned two things, social media and butts in the pews. Something that all of us can do is share your post. It costs you nothing. If you're not on Facebook, you don't like it, join please and just share the posts with your friends or on Instagram. This is a time of great anxiety for a lot of people. They're looking for some sense of support or community. This is a great time for us to help people in need and to grow our community here. So please,
Absolutely.
Facebook, Instagram, like it.
Tanya is a guru at that. So what she's saying is get on Facebook and Instagram. Did you know you do not have to sign up for a Facebook account to look at our page? You can go to our website, link to Facebook. You can lurk all day long. You do not have to sign up. What you think Meta is terrible? Fine. Just go. Don't give them your data, but lurk on our page, and we will be. That will really help us. I want to tag one thing off of what you said, Tanya. The most important place where we can get butts in the pews is by personal invitation. 85-90% of the people come because somebody says, "Come to church with me," even in the digital age. It used to be 98%. Now it's like 95%. So I want to encourage you, please, for the sake of St. Timothy's, if you love this place, share this place. If you love this place, invite people to this place. That is where we're going to see an increase in attendance. Tony here.
I could be accused of being a Grinch with this question,
Please.
but with your sabbaticals,
Yeah.
are you going to have to work leaner and meaner?
What do you mean?
What I mean by that is when Susan's gone, you're going to do her job as well as yours?
Absolutely. Not as
Wow.
well. Not
And
as well.
Vice versa. No, but it doesn't matter. So there will be increased personnel expense as a result.
There will not be an increased personnel expense.
So you're going to really have to work hard.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So what I want to say is pastoral care is not the associate's job. Pastoral care is not the associate's job. Did you know that pastoral care is not the associate's job? It's a part of her ministry. It's a part of my ministry. We share the pastoral care. Yes, it will be more running faster. The pastoral care won't be as excellent as Susan, but we share this ministry. So she's not the person who does pastoral care.
Did you hear it?
Right, it's a shared ministry. So I'm sorry to be like really particular about this, Because often, like, oh, the associate, they do the hospital calls. We do the hospital calls. We engage people in pastoral care, and it's our privilege. It's our vocation. So yes, more work for her when I'm gone, more work for me when she's gone, but it's still a privilege and a blessing to be part of this with you. Not a Grinchy question at all. I was expecting worse. Not yet, but that's later. We got some more vestry stuff later. I want to keep moving unless I see if you got an itchy hand, please put it up. I want to go further down the schedule. I have to look at the schedule to make sure where I am. Okay, now, thank you. We are now to outgoing vestry recognition. So, our three vestry people who who will continue to do ministry with us, but not in the designated vestry role, are Liz Knappe, Chris Manning, and Karen Anderson. So if you all could come on up, please. I got a story to tell. And I know you're one thing, Chris is rolling off, but she will remain our clerk. So you may or might not know the way the vestry runs. There's an executive team, which is the clerk, the junior warden, the senior warden, and the treasurer. Two of those are elected by the vestry. That's the junior warden and the clerk, or actually the treasurer too. There's one that's appointed by me, which is the senior warden. And so even though Chris will not be a voting member of the vestry, will continue for at least for 1 year, and we're going to figure out transition for 2026. So this is my advertisement to you all. If you want to help us with clerking in 2026, talk to me. And if you're just like thinking, no, that sounds terrible, talk to somebody who would be helping us. It's a vital part of our ministry. So Karen has done an amazing job this year, worked herself silly, and I couldn't be happier. So I'm incredibly grateful for this transition that we've been through. We celebrate Bev Matsunaga's ministry to us as she transitioned away from being heavily involved with the facility. Thank you. And Karen has really helped us move forward. We have a very part-time facility assistant to help us with some of the logistics, but Karen, whether she shows it or not, is probably be glad to be off for the vestry for just a little bit. And then finally, Liz Knappe is continuing as a delegate, but she rolls off of vestry. So this is where let's see, I'm going to start with you, Chris Manning. So I got these little emoji pots. And Chris, I always thought of this one as I thought of you. It's like the little emoji, and she's smiling, and it's got its hands up. Because every time I ask Chris if she'd mind clicking for the service, she goes, yes! And so I am grateful for your ministry to me on every Sunday, to the vestry on a regular basis, and helping us manage it. The next one is for Karen. This emoji is laughing out loud. And this is how Karen approaches everything. No matter what you've got going on, no matter how overwhelmed you are, with the many places you're shuffling, you're always laughing, and that just blesses me. So I want to give you a token of appreciation. And this one is for Liz. You're way cooler than the rest of us. So she's always, like, we could be talking about the most difficult stuff in vestry, difficult financial choices, facilities, deficits, and blah, 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 but she's always just so like, hey, we're gonna figure it out. You ask tough questions, so I'm not saying you're checked out, but she'll ask tough questions, and it's just as cool as a cucumber through all of it. So this is my little appreciation to you. Last thing I'll say is Liz, you might have seen, she's a delegate for 2025, so she's not completely off the hook in ministry, but I'm extremely grateful to the three of you, so thank you. Come on up here. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, no, not yet. Ther- I won't make you talk. Teresa, would you come up just for a second? I just want to say, Teresa will continue on our vestry for one more year. So Teresa Rajaratnam was our senior warden this year. She has served me well. She's been with me. We have difficult conversations about all stuff related to church. And it's usually when either one of us are driving. You're driving back from work. I'm driving somewhere to pick up a kid. And it's just filled with grace. I'm extremely grateful to you and for your ministry to me and your ministry to the church. And you're not off the hook yet. You got one more year of vestry. So thank you. Now will you come up? Your chief victim, and Eric and I have been talking about what we're going to do in the road ahead, and he is perfectly positioned to be senior warden this year, so I have chosen him as our senior warden. I want to tell you one thing about, he's gifted in many, many ways. But one of the things that I just really appreciate about him is you were doing the senior warden role pretty much since you've been here. Because one of the chief roles of a senior warden is to have his or her rector's back and to be thinking about the rectors doing well, the rector being protected, the rector. So you were doing that from the second I met you. So you've cared deeply about clergy. I feel that your deep care about me, and I'm really looking forward to serving with you. Me too. I think that's all of the agenda stuff except for questions. Is that right? Yes, Sally, sorry.
I think there was a significant volunteer staff person who retired this year that I think should be given a round of applause.
Yes. So we want to thank Bev. I'm not going to ask you to come up unless you really want to come up. I'm not expecting you to. But Bev has been a faithful servant of this church for a very long time, and the facility has thrived because of her, and we appreciate you. Okie dokie. Liz, do you mind doing me a favor? Is there something going on with this mic? Can I get 2 more batteries in the back? It's something is up. We made it tired today. Okay, so I think that is everything. All we have left is any follow-up questions and then a closing prayer. And can I ask for a volunteer to do closing? I pray all the time. Does somebody feel inspired to close us in prayer? What's that? No, you don't get to volunteer somebody else. That's not how it works. You remember that passage in Isaiah? It's like, "Here I am, Lord, send me." Have you heard this before? One of my favorite clergy people, she lives now in South Carolina. She's like, "Here I am, Lord, send that guy." All right, Ken is going to pray us out at the end. Thank you, Liz. Let's see if this can make it for a few more minutes. Do you have any follow-up questions? It can be about anything. Finances, my conversation with you all, whatever strikes you. And then we're going to close in prayer. Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hager, and it's really not a question, but it is a superb compliment to both you and Susan for your pastoral care. It has been nothing short of rough since John fell and crushed his arm back in November. But Todd was there, Todd and Kimberly were there in the hospital with the ugly. It was ugly, then it got uglier. But they have been at our house, they've been in the hospital, they've called, they check on me and make sure that we're okay. He's here today, but he said, I'm done, I'm going home, because it was just gonna be too much. But we're still, but the pastoral care has been just exceptional. So I'm hoping that everybody else has felt that too in their own personal situations, because every situation is different, but I appreciate what I've given.
Thank you so much.
I'm Barbara Monsler. My question is, in the last year, it has seemed to me, when I'm facing through all those dreadful lights, that there are more people in the seats here. And is that
true?
Is that true? Is that real growth, or is that people coming from Zoom into presence?
So that's a great question. Thank you for asking that, because I think about this a lot. I come from Texas where everything is bigger, not always better. I'm from Texas, like. So, yes, our attendance is increasing, nominally. Our in-person attendance is increasing, nominally. Our online attendance is about the same. If I looked at the metrics, and if you look at the report, we get about 80 people over the week. So there's about half show up on Sunday, and then another 40 dribble in through the week to watch the service. So that's kind of our online campus, if you will. Does that make sense? Or Wednesday or whatever. It's there all the time. It lives there forever. So people say, oh, can I get a recording of the service? It's like, absolutely, just click the link. It's there. Like the service we did today is there and will be there forever until we take it down. So about 80 people over the week, 40 on Sunday. Our chat is filled up with people really engaged. And there's people who watch it just less chatty, just want to watch the service and be blessed by it. That's 80. We are, I think, at 133 this? What did we say? Let me just, before I lie to you, what page is that on, Kimberly? 100, okay, so in person is 133 this year, so last year, so 2024. That's a mild increase from the year before. And I follow the trends of other churches. We're about doing the same thing. Yeah, what's that, Gina? Yes, Sunday attendance. Average Sunday attendance is 133. That includes Easter, so that kind of bumps up the total, right? So it's not exactly 133 every Sunday, but average Sunday attendance 133. Online attendance is 80, and that's a mild increase year over year. The pandemic obviously did a number on us. There were a lot more butts in the pews before the pandemic. You all know this, right? But we are creeping back up, and I've looked at the trends of other churches. This is not unique to us. All the Episcopal churches in the area are creeping back up. Nobody has exploded up. Nobody's really crashing, but we're all just kind of eking our way back up. I feel the energy. It feels better. It feels more energized over this last year. There seems to be a growing sense of, like, we're glad to be back. We're glad, and the pandemic is way in our rearview mirror, and we're just glad to be here together. So there's health. It's not crazy growth and success, but it's sustainable. It's, I think, really a sign of who you are and a commitment to this congregation. Does that answer your question? Tony.
Todd, there's a significant number here. There's 213 attendance altogether, but the membership is 500. Who are they? And do they represent?
So every Episcopal church has a number of members, and if you come to church, you've been a member, and you come to church on Christmas, and you come to church on Easter, and you show up at one random baptism of your cousin, you get counted. We're not taking you off the rolls if you're a nominal attender. So that membership is the family. So what the Andersons, they contribute 3 to that count. So the membership is the number of people in the family. Does that make sense? So our membership is always going to be higher than Sunday. There's not a church that exists that's not having a big membership number and a smaller attendance number. We did sort of purge a little bit. Was it, Carlene? When did we purge some of the stuff? We dropped, I mean, our members' rolls were reporting like 600 something. I knew that wasn't true, right? So this is a corrected number. This is a more accurate number. Maybe we correct it again, but this, I'm pretty confident, is a reasonable number to report as an Episcopal church. Does that answer your question, sort of? Yeah, I didn't know whether they represented an opportunity. Absolutely. But you're always going to have nominal attenders. You're always going to have Christmas, Easter, and one random baptism person. Yeah, Susan. Absolutely.
And so those people, please don't take them off the roll because they are our prayers. They are the people that
Absolutely.
lead the tapestry of prayer, and they're very much a part of our So I sent out the emails to everybody who's an active member, as according to the database, that I have an email for. Out of all those people, I have heard from many of you, I have only had one email from a person that says, I'm no longer attending. I would have to go back and look at last year, but I know that when I sent out the emails last year, I had more than one person that was saying, I'm no longer attending. I think that's a good sign.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't want to take anybody off who doesn't want to be taken off. And I'm not ready to kick anybody out of our community. And to Susan's point, just because you aren't here every Sunday or once a month, if you are still engaged with us and want to be part of us, you're part of us.
Patty Ferris. The diocese taxed us, that's in quotes, on the whole number, the 500.
It taxes us on our budget. We can get into details, but do we need to? It taxes us on our money, not our people. What we spend in our budget. So, to make it really simple, and Dick, please correct me if I'm wrong, when the flood floods the basement, that doesn't go to our assessment. But when we spend money on me, that goes to our assessment. So we're not taxed on people, we're taxed on money. And I've had more conversations than I'd like to. I just want to tell you, this is never going to happen. Well, what if we stop paying the diocese? I know, it happened once, but we still ended up paying all that back dues. So I do not support, I will not be part of a mutiny. I won't. I love being an Episcopal priest to the whole church. So that means we are a franchise operation. Let me be really blunt about this. The way the Episcopal Church operates is really a holy franchise. It is. And the diocese owns this building. And they own everything. They don't own the house, but they own the biggest chunk of our property is held in the diocese. So I'm not leaving. We're paying our dues. We're not having a tax rebellion. There's just no place that we can go. And yes, it's a lot of money. It is. I want to do maybe one or two more and let's wrap up.
I think this is a question more for our deanery delegates, but if we're getting taxed on what we're spending instead of what we're taking in, isn't that just burying the grave for us faster? I mean, shouldn't we be getting taxed on what's coming in and not what's being spent? So again, that's for the deanery.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get rid of this question, but I want to say that, what do I want to say? What do I want to say about that? There are ways in which the diocese has practiced us not having our assessment go up. Back to the point about the flood. Our building floods, we're not assessed on it. And that can be a way not to report all of the money that we've spent over the years. So there's a bit of a tax shelter. I don't know if that's the right word or not. So it's a bit of a tax shelter. And we are going to be thinking about, and the churches always talk about, we need assessment relief. We're probably not going to get assessment relief. This may be a surprise to you. It's a surprise to me. We're the 5th largest church in the diocese. We're the 5th largest church in the diocese. Does that shock you? It shocks me. Grace is the biggest. All Souls Berkeley is the 2nd, and we're the 5th. There's a couple in the middle. I think it's Christ Church Alameda and St. John's Ross. So we're not huge. I know this. But we're the 5th largest church in the diocese. So the chances of us, I won't be doing it, the chances of us going to executive council, which I'm on, saying, oh, diocese, give us a 5% relief, the chances are less than 0. We have an over $1 million endowment. Assessment relief will not be coming. It won't. So I just want to be really straight with you all that that's where we are and probably how we're going to proceed. Does that make sense? Okay, this is the last question.
Oh, no, I hope not. It's Patty Ferris again. I would like to encourage people to leave a percentage in their will. I did it, and they now put me on something that's, I don't know, whatever, endowment. What legacy, right. And I told my daughter, now 10% of my thing goes to the church. That's what I consider my tithe.
Lovely. Planned giving is... Yeah, but you can do endowment planning now. You can do... Dick, why don't you come to the mic if you don't mind?
Yeah, by the way, Patty, not anytime soon, all right?
No, of course not.
I think it's important for you all to look at our history of this parish. The diocese founded this parish, and they paid for it, and we were not a parish for 20 years. And during that time, there were many years we didn't contribute any money. And so now we're paying them back. That's one way to look at it. It's an important way to think about it.
And I'm just looking at the chat. Bob Carnes underscores that we are not assessed on operating expenses. And we are assessed on operating expenses, not capital expenses. That's what I think I basically said. I hope I said that right. Let me take one moment to look at the chat. I don't see. Where is the chat? I don't see what he's saying, so forgive me, Bob, for not seeing that chat point. But, Bob, we hear you. I think that's everything. Mr. Anderson, do you mind coming up?
Remind the vestry.
Oh, yeah, so vestry, incoming and continuing, meet us in the back afterwards. We're taking you to the woodshed.
Our closing prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for all the blessings that you have given to us in our area, with our lovely friends, our family here, and with that, I just give much grace and thanks to you for everything that you have given us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ken. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for being engaged, and thank you for supporting St. Timothy's.